Hello from Norfolk. We've decided to start a podcast here at Allied Command Transformation, and the reason is pretty simple. The Alliance is changing at an unprecedented pace, and we want you to be in the loop. We recorded our first episode right before holiday break. I hope you enjoy it. This is the Transformation Brief. Shaping the future of the Alliance, this is the Transformation Brief. And I'm your host, Jackie Faye Burton. Today we're talking all about interoperability, and helping me break it down is JR Couture. And JR, you're one of the top experts here at the Alliance on interoperability. You've been working on it for more than 2 decades.
Yes. Thank you for having me in your podcast. You have done this multiple ways. From a technical point of view, I work in NATO headquarters doing some policy on interoperability, and now I find myself at Allied Command Transformation to actually implement many of the policies I wrote for myself in some ways 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you wrote some of the policies at NATO headquarters while you were in Brussels.
Correct.
And now you're putting those to action here at Allied Command Transformation in Norfolk. But I have to be honest, when I first heard the term interoperability being thrown around at NATO, I was like, my God, we really have got to stop using that term. It's so confusing. People don't understand what it means. I didn't really understand what it means, and I kept trying to use a synonym for it, but I kind of found that there really isn't a good synonym for it. And then interoperability kind of stuck. We're still using it years later. I have found it not only to stay in the NATO vocabulary, but I've started using it in my own vocabulary. But for people at home that really don't understand what it is, what is it? Just break it down for me.
So, interoperability is the ability to work together, to have two systems, two group of people interoperable. And actually, in the digital age, in our everyday experience, we rely on interoperability all the time. If you use your cellular phone, right? My cellular phone, I have an American service provider, and then I land in Europe, I switch on my phone and it works magically. But there's no magic. There's actually a lot of work behind the scenes between all of those companies, work that we don't see as an individual, we just get the benefit of it. But those companies have to work together so that they extend their markets. And interestingly, when you think about this, those companies on one end are competitors, but they see the benefit of working together on common policies and standards for the greater good of all of them. So that's what it is interoperability. So
you have AT&T and T-Mobile working to make sure that their standards match, so that no matter where you are in the world, you can have cellular service.
Exactly. And then if you look at your cars, you have same thing, lots of examples of spare parts of a different company working on your car of another company. So it's every day in our life, we just don't realize it, and we don't use the word interoperability to describe this. It's just working.
Yeah, and so I did a little research, and I found that interoperability was added to the Webster Dictionary circa 1965. But certainly, the examples you just gave were present day, but countries have been acting interoperable for some time.
Correct. I mean, if you look at the military history, as old as two countries decided to become allied together, they had to agree on multiple things, right? This is to become interoperable. It's not always technology, but it's common language, common procedures. So that's as I said, interoperability is as old as warfare in many ways. If you look more specifically in the second half of the 18th century, the French Navy and the Spanish Navy achieved some high level of interoperability. They have common doctrine how to basically operate their ships. They even had common standards for some of the parts of their ships. So you could relatively easily pick a mast from a French ship and fit it in a Spanish ship. And that interoperability was instrumental in their success against the British Navy at the time, and also contributed somehow to the American Revolution. So again, you don't necessarily...
So we wouldn't be here today.
Potentially not.
If the Spanish and the French had not learned how to be interoperable so long ago.
Maybe speaking it with a different accent, but yes, it could have been different. So yeah, but we don't see this, right? Interoperability is your supporting actor. It's not a frontline thing, but it's crucial for the work we do.
Okay, and but I think in today's context of conflict,
Correct.
everyone's eyes are on Ukraine. How has interoperability impacted the war in Ukraine?
As you probably know, and as the auditors will know, I mean, many NATO nations, many allies have contributed equipment and munitions to Ukraine. If all of those equipment and ammunitions are interoperable, this is a bonus for Ukraine. So they don't have to necessarily have to match the ammunition from nation A to the guns coming from the same nations. But when those things are not interoperable, when they don't meet the standard they should be meeting, then it becomes extremely complicated. It basically degrades the combat effectiveness of Ukraine and makes it a logistics nightmare, because now they have, instead of having a common fleet of guns, they have to segment by nations, and it's extremely complicated. So we lose the value of the numbers in many ways. The value of the alliance is that we can fight as one. If we segment ourselves 32 different ways on the battlefield, we're not going to have the same effect than if we show up as a unified force.
Okay, so whether we're interoperable as an alliance or not can really have some dire consequences and can determine, who wins the war from who loses the war. Explain to me, in today's day and age, as we're dealing with other things that are speeding up the way the world is working with technology and artificial intelligence, how are we looking at interoperability there?
So we have to up our game because, the two big forces at the geostrategic level, obviously, we now have clear and present dangers at NATO's border that we need to respond. And that's forcing nations to look at their own interoperability a lot more than they, perhaps in the last 20 or 30 years after the Cold War. At the same time, we're in the middle of this digital revolution, which is affecting how we do command and control, how we see the battlefield, how we use drones, for example. So those two forces are absolutely making our interoperability even more valuable. So to look at this, we're taking different measures. Here at Allied Command Transformation, we have what we call our interoperability continuum. Mm-hmm. So we have a series of activities from looking at the problem from a conceptual point of view to actually testing the interoperability in one or the other exercises. The Alliance has hundreds of exercises, and all of them, at the end of the day, is to measure or to progress one or the other aspects of interoperability. Sometimes it's about human working together. Sometimes it's about making sure that radios and computers can actually exchange data effectively one to the other.
But what are you doing to press allies to ensure that they are interoperable, that they are meeting all these different standards and we can work across borders?
So we've been doing a lot of things. As you may know, there are a lot of committees in NATO dealing with these matters. But to increase the importance of interoperability, a few things happen in 2025. First thing, we are delivering next week, literally, at the end of December, a NATO interoperability plan to bring back interoperability at the top of the agenda. We've asked nations to appoint at the senior level interoperability champions and also sometimes digital transformation champions to realize that those things are extremely important and it needs to receive the right level of attention.
So all 32 nations has a specific
Correct.
Representative dedicated to interoperability.
Yes, and we actually met with those individuals for the first time 2 weeks ago. And I was actually very surprised by the enthusiasm because, as we said at the beginning, interoperability is not necessarily the most exciting topic. But now I think the realization, the importance, the need to have interoperability is clear, and I can sense that the nations are paying a lot more attention to this. And as I said, the real world threat from a geostrategic point of view is also increasing that pressure.
Okay, and then as technology continues to change every day, I feel like the newest tool is coming online. What are we doing here at Allied Command Transformation to test all of this?
Yep. So we have one exercise that we run every year, which is called Coalition Warrior Interoperability Exercise, where we invite nations to bring their digital command and control systems so that we can test them, one another, and we can also see if they are adopting the newer standards. Because, as I said, the challenge is not just we have to be interoperable today together, but we also have to cater for the evolution of technology and the fact that AI is around the corner, quantum computing is around the corner, and we want to make sure that we also have interoperable capabilities to deal with those matters. So it's like sports, right? You need to keep doing this. You cannot just, because you achieve a certain level, you cannot put yourself on a cruise control. You have to keep working on this to maintain your interoperability.
Right.
So it's a continuous effort across the calendar. So CWIX is one of our exercises. There are similar exercises in NATO also to contribute to having interoperable forces.
Okay, all right, great insights, JR. Thank you so much for breaking it down in a way that's easy to understand, incredibly important work. And that's all for the Transformation Brief today. Cheers.
Thank you.